Maya Johnson never planned to visit her own hotel without telling anyone who she was. But as she drove toward the Meridian on that sunny Tuesday morning, she couldn't shake the feeling that something wasn't right. The customer satisfaction scores had been dropping for the past 3 months. Nothing dramatic, just a slow, steady decline that worried her. At 38, Maya had built Pinnacle Hospitality Group from nothing into a chain of 10 luxury hotels across the country. The Meridian was her first and favorite, the cornerstone of her business. She'd worked too hard to let standards slip now. Time for a reality check, she murmured to herself as she parked her car in the visitor lot rather than her reserved space. She glanced at her reflection in the rearview mirror and smiled. No one would recognize her today. Instead of her usual tailored suits and statement jewelry, she wore faded jeans, a plain navy blouse, and minimal makeup. Her normally sleek hair was pulled back in a simple ponytail beneath a baseball cap. She looked like any other tourist in the city. Maya grabbed her backpack, not her designer handbag, and walked toward the grand entrance of the Meridian. The morning sun reflected off the gleaming glass facade, and for a moment she felt a surge of pride. This building represented everything she'd fought for, every obstacle she'd overcome. Being a black woman in the luxury hospitality industry hadn't been easy, but she'd proven all the doubters wrong. As she pushed through the revolving doors into the marble lobby, Maya immediately began noting details. The brass fixtures needed polishing. The fresh flower arrangements, usually spectacular, looked wilted at the edges. Small things, but not up to Meridian standards. Just observing today, she reminded herself. No fixing, just watching. She settled into one of the plush armchairs in the lobby, positioning herself with a good view of the front desk. From her backpack, she took out a paperback novel, the perfect cover for people watching. Over the next hour, she observed the flow of guests and staff, making mental notes of everything she saw. A family checking in was kept waiting while the receptionist took a phone call that clearly wasn't business-related. A bellhop moved sluggishly with an elderly couple's bags. Most concerning was how differently staff interacted with guests depending on their appearance. White guests in expensive clothes received immediate warm attention. Others, particularly people of color or those dressed casually, were treated with noticeably less enthusiasm. Maya's stomach tightened. This was exactly what she'd worked so hard to prevent at her hotels. Pinnacle's training emphasized treating every guest with equal respect and warmth. What had changed? Just then, a new face appeared behind the front desk, a tall man with slicked back hair and a smile that didn't reach his eyes. She didn't recognize him, which was unusual. Maya made a point of meeting all management-level hires. That must be Gregory Walsh, she thought, recalling the name from recent hiring paperwork she'd signed. Her operations director had hired him as a new front desk manager 3 weeks ago. Maya watched as he spoke sharply to a junior staff member who had been helping an Indian family with directions. Her observation was interrupted by raised voices. A young black couple was trying to check in. But something was wrong, I'm sorry. But your reservation doesn't appear to be in our system, Gregory was saying with thinly veiled impatience. But I have the confirmation email right here, the woman said, holding up her phone. We booked 3 months ago. Perhaps you made the reservation at a different hotel? Gregory suggested with a condescending smile. Maya's eyes narrowed. She opened her own phone and discreetly accessed the hotel's reservation system. One benefit of being the CEO was having access to everything. Within seconds, she found their reservation. It was right there, confirmed and paid in full. She stood and walked casually to the coffee station near the front desk, pretending to fix herself a cup while listening. Look, we saved for months for this anniversary trip, the husband was saying now, his voice tight with controlled frustration. We specifically chose the Meridian because of its reputation. I understand, sir, but without a reservation. Gregory's tone suggested he didn't understand at all. Maya couldn't take it anymore. She abandoned her coffee and approached the desk. Excuse me, she said politely. I couldn't help overhearing. Maybe I can help? Gregory's expression hardened as he took in her casual appearance. This is between the hotel and these guests, ma'am. I know, Maya said calmly. But I work with reservation systems all the time. Sometimes there's a simple fix. The couple looked at her gratefully, but Gregory's face flushed. Are you suggesting you know our systems better than I do? He asked coldly. Not at all, Maya replied, keeping her voice friendly. Just offering another set of eyes. For instance, sometimes reservations get filed under the guest's first name instead of last name by mistake. I've checked thoroughly, Gregory snapped. Now, if you don't mind, we have other guests waiting. Maya turned to the couple. Have you tried calling the number from your confirmation email? Before they could answer, Gregory stepped around the counter. Ma'am, you're interfering with hotel business. I'm going to have to ask you to step away. I'm just trying to help these guests, Maya said, genuinely surprised at his hostility. They clearly have a confirmed reservation that— Security! Gregory called sharply. Maya blinked in disbelief. Was he really calling security on her? In her own hotel? 2 security guards approached quickly. Maya knew them both, Carlos and Dayon, but in her casual clothes they didn't recognize their boss. This woman is harassing our staff and interfering with other guests, Gregory told them. Please escort her from the premises. I'm not harassing anyone, Maya said, maintaining her composure despite her rising anger. I simply offered to help these guests with their reservation problem. Ma'am, I'm going to need you to come with us, Carlos said professionally, though he looked uncomfortable with the situation. Maya considered revealing her identity right then, but something held her back. This was showing her exactly what was happening at her hotel when she wasn't around, and it was worse than she'd imagined. All right, she said quietly, gathering her backpack, but these guests have a valid reservation. Their name is Thompson, checking in today for 3 nights in a deluxe suite. It's in the system. Gregory's face showed a flicker of uncertainty at her specific knowledge, but he quickly recovered. Please remove her now. As Maya was led toward the door, she looked back to see Gregory already turning away from the couple, their problem unresolved. Other staff members were watching with wide eyes or deliberately looking away. No one stepped up to help. Outside in the bright sunshine, Maya took a deep breath to calm herself. Carlos and Dayon apologized for the inconvenience, clearly just doing their job. No hard feelings, she told them, and meant it. They weren't the problem. As soon as they returned inside, Maya pulled out her phone and made a call. Daniel, it's Maya. I need you at the Meridian right away. And bring my ID badge. Her voice was steady but determined. We have a serious problem. Her operations director, Daniel Chen, immediately picked up on her tone. On my way. 10 minutes. Maya ended the call and looked up at the gleaming hotel that bore her vision and values. 9 minutes later, everything would change. Maya paced outside the hotel entrance, her mind racing. Being thrown out of her own hotel was shocking enough, but what truly disturbed her was the treatment she'd witnessed. The Meridian was supposed to be different. She had built it to be different. She checked her watch. Daniel would arrive any minute. Maya had worked with Daniel Chen for 7 years, and there was no one she trusted more. As her chief operations officer, he handled the day-to-day management of all 10 Pinnacle properties while Maya focused on growth and vision. While waiting, Maya noticed the young black couple from earlier exit the hotel, their faces tight with frustration. They were arguing quietly as they headed toward the parking lot. Without hesitation, Maya approached them. Excuse me? I'm sorry to bother you, but did you get your room situation sorted out? The woman shook her head, clearly upset. No. That manager insisted there was no reservation, even though we showed him the confirmation. He said they're fully booked and there's nothing he can do. Her husband put a protective arm around her shoulders. We saved for months for this anniversary trip. Now we have to find somewhere else to stay, and we've already paid for this room. Maya felt a cold anger settle in her stomach. May I see your confirmation? The woman hesitated, then showed Maya her phone. The reservation was exactly as Maya had seen in the system, completely valid. My name is Maya Johnson, she said quietly. I'm the CEO of Pinnacle Hospitality Group, which owns the Meridian. That reservation is absolutely valid, and I'd like to personally make this right. Their expressions shifted from suspicion to shock. You're the owner? The husband asked, disbelief clear in his voice. Then why did they just kick you out? I was visiting undercover to check on service quality, Maya explained. Acai. And I've clearly discovered some serious issues. Please give me 10 minutes to resolve this. I promise you'll have not just your reserved suite, but a significant upgrade for the trouble. The couple, Lisa and Anthony Thompson, Maya learned, agreed to wait. Just then, a sleek black car pulled up and Daniel Chen emerged carrying a folder. At 45, Daniel had the calm efficiency that made him perfect for operations management. Maya, what happened? he asked, immediately noticing her casual attire. Why the undercover work? Something felt off in the customer feedback, she explained quickly, taking her ID badge and executive access card from him. I was right. We have a problem named Gregory Walsh. He's the new front desk manager. And he just had me thrown out for trying to help these guests. She gestured to the Thompsons. Daniel's normally composed face showed rare surprise. He had security remove you? Without even checking who you were? Exactly. And he's intentionally turning away guests with valid reservations. She quickly filled him in on what she'd observed about the different treatment of guests. Daniel's expression hardened. This stops now. Together with the Thompsons, they walked back into the Meridian. The security guards did a double-take seeing Maya return with Daniel, whose designer suit and authoritative presence always commanded attention. The lobby hushed as they approached the front desk where Gregory was now berating a young female employee about improper filing of checkout forms. His back was to them. Mr. Walsh, Daniel said sharply. Gregory turned, irritation clear on his face until he recognized Daniel. His expression shifted to a placating smile. Mr. Chen, what a surprise. I wasn't expecting executive management today. Clearly, Daniel said coldly. He stepped aside to reveal Maya. I believe you've already met Maya Johnson, the founder and CEO of Pinnacle Hospitality Group and owner of this hotel. The color drained from Gregory's face. Around the lobby, staff members froze, watching the scene unfold. The young employee he'd been scolding looked between Gregory and Maya with wide eyes. Ms. Johnson? Gregory stammered. There must be some misunderstanding. The only misunderstanding, Maya said evenly, was yours in thinking that treating guests differently based on their appearance was acceptable at my hotel. She turned to the Thompsons. These guests showed you a valid reservation that you claimed didn't exist. I checked the system myself, it's there. Gregory swallowed hard. Perhaps there was a technical error. Stop. Maya's voice wasn't loud, but it cut through his excuses like a knife. I watched you for an hour this morning. I saw how you treated guests differently depending on how they looked or what they were wearing. I saw how you spoke to staff, and then I experienced it myself when you had me removed instead of listening. The lobby was completely silent now. Even guests had stopped to watch. Mr. Chen, Maya continued, please check the security footage from this morning. I want to review it in the management office immediately. Already arranged, Daniel said, holding up his phone. Security is pulling it now. Gregory's face flushed. Ms. Johnson, if I had known who you were. That's exactly the problem, Maya cut in, her voice sharp with controlled anger. You shouldn't need to know who someone is to treat them with respect. That's the foundation of hospitality and the core value of every Pinnacle property. She turned to the young employee Gregory had been berating. Zoe, isn't it? The young woman nodded, surprised to be addressed by name. Please help the Thompsons check into the presidential suite. Comp their entire stay, with full VIP service and dining credits. Then join us in the management office. Yes, Miss Johnson, Zoe replied, immediately moving to assist the stunned couple. Maya turned back to Gregory, who had begun to sweat visibly. Mr. Walsh, come with us now. As they walked toward the management offices, Maya noticed how staff members were exchanging glances. Some looked worried, others relieved. She caught snippets of whispered conversations. That's the owner? She saw everything. I told you we should have reported him. In the large management office, the head of security, Raj Patel, was waiting with the footage queued up on a large monitor. He stood respectfully when Maya entered. Ms. Johnson, I had no idea that was you this morning, he began apologetically. If I had known, it's all right, Raj, Maya assured him. You were doing your job based on the information you had. That's not the issue here. They watched in silence as the security footage showed exactly what Maya had observed. The pattern of discriminatory treatment was even more obvious when viewed objectively. The footage clearly showed Gregory's different demeanor with different guests, his harsh treatment of staff, and finally, the incident with Maya herself. When the video ended, Maya turned to Gregory, who had sunk into a chair, his bluster completely gone. How long has this been going on? She asked, not just to Gregory, but to everyone in the room. After a moment of uncomfortable silence, Zoe spoke up from where she stood by the door, having just returned from helping the Thompsons. Since he started 3 weeks ago, she said quietly. At first it was just comments in the break room about certain types of guests. Then he started assigning the better rooms to people he called Premium guests. We tried to tell our supervisor, but Mr. Walsh said he'd fire anyone who complained. Other staff members in the room nodded in confirmation. Maya looked at Gregory with cold disappointment. "Is this true, Mr. Walsh?" Gregory straightened, attempting to regain some dignity. "I was simply trying to maximize revenue by giving preferential treatment to guests who might spend more at the hotel. It's standard practice in luxury hospitality. Not at my hotels," Maya said firmly. "Never at my hotels? Pinnacle exists to provide exceptional service to every guest, regardless of their appearance, race, or economic background." She turned to Daniel. "When did we hire him?" "He came highly recommended from the Belmont in Chicago," Daniel said, checking his tablet. "His references were excellent." Maya narrowed her eyes. "Call the Belmont. I want to know if they experienced similar issues." While Daniel made the call in the corner of the room, Maya addressed Gregory directly. "Mr. Walsh, you've violated the core principles of this company. Your behavior goes against everything written in our training materials and employee handbook. I'd like to hear why you think I shouldn't terminate your employment immediately." Gregory's face hardened. "You're overreacting. This is how the industry works, whether you want to admit it or not. I was just being more honest about it." A hush fell over the room at his audacity. Before Maya could respond, Daniel returned from his call. "The Belmont never employed him," Daniel reported, his face grim. "They've never heard of Gregory Walsh. And the other references don't check out either. We've been had." All eyes turned to Gregory, whose expression had turned from defiant to cornered. "You falsified your employment history?" Maya asked incredulously. "The hospitality industry is competitive," he muttered. "Everyone exaggerates their resume." "This goes well beyond exaggeration," Maya said. She took a deep breath, controlling her anger. "Mr. Walsh, your employment with Pinnacle Hospitality Group is terminated, effective immediately. Raj will escort you to collect your personal belongings, and then you will leave the premises." As security led a protesting Gregory away, Maya looked around at the remaining staff members, all watching her with a mixture of relief and apprehension. "This is just the beginning," she said firmly. "We have much more to discuss. I need everyone in the main conference room in 9 minutes. Every staff member who isn't directly assisting a guest right now. Spread the word." As the room cleared, leaving just Maya and Daniel, she sank into a chair, the weight of the morning's discoveries hitting her all at once. "How did we miss this, Daniel?" she asked quietly. "How did we let this happen in our flagship property?" "We trusted our hiring process," he replied soberly. "But clearly there are gaps we need to address." Maya nodded, her determination returning. "And we will, starting right now." She stood and straightened her casual clothes, the very outfit that had led to her dismissal from her own hotel. In 9 minutes, everything would change at the Meridian. Maya was going to make sure of it. The main conference room of the Meridian was never meant to hold the entire hotel staff at once. As people filed in, housekeepers still in their uniforms, kitchen staff in white coats, front desk personnel, bellhops, concierges, and managers, the room grew crowded and warm. Some leaned against walls, others sat on the floor. The buzz of nervous conversation filled the air. Maya stood at the front with Daniel, watching as her employees assembled. She could read the room's mood like a weather map. Patches of anxiety, clouds of guilt, a low-pressure system of relief that Gregory was gone, and high tensions about what would happen next. "Everyone here?" Maya asked the head of housekeeping, a no-nonsense woman named Josephine who had been with Maya since day one. "Almost," Josephine replied. "Night shift is coming in early, and we've got coverage for the essential stations." Maya nodded and checked her watch. 9 minutes had passed since she'd called the meeting. It was time. She didn't need to ask for quiet. As she stepped to the front of the room, the conversations died away naturally, all eyes turning to her. Despite her casual clothes, Maya carried an unmistakable authority, the kind earned through years of hard work rather than demanded through intimidation. "For those who don't know me, I'm Maya Johnson, the founder and CEO of Pinnacle Hospitality Group," she began, her voice carrying easily to the back of the crowded room. "This morning I came to the Meridian as a regular guest because I wanted to see how we're really doing. Not what reports show, not what scheduled inspections reveal, but the genuine day-to-day experience of our guests." She paused, looking around the room, making eye contact with as many people as possible. "What I found was deeply disappointing," she continued. "I watched as guests were treated differently based on their appearance or perceived status. I saw staff being bullied and belittled, and when I tried to help a couple with a valid reservation who were being turned away, I was physically escorted from my own hotel. Murmurs rippled through the crowd. Some people looked down in shame, others nodded in grim agreement. The manager responsible has been terminated, Maya said firmly. But I'm not here to talk about Gregory Walsh. I'm here to talk about all of you, about us. About what the Meridian is supposed to be. She moved away from the podium, preferring to speak more directly. When I started Pinnacle 10 years ago, I had one goal: to create hotels where everyone feels valued. Where exceptional service isn't reserved for those who look or dress a certain way. Where we judge success not by the wealth of our guests but by how well we meet their needs. Her voice grew passionate. I built this company because as a black woman traveling for business, I experienced too many hotels where I was made to feel like I didn't belong, until they realized who I was. Heads nodded throughout the room. Many of her staff had experienced similar treatment elsewhere. The Meridian was my first hotel, the place where we proved that treating every guest with equal respect and warmth isn't just the right thing to do. It's good business. Maya's disappointment was evident in her voice. So how did we end up here? With guests being turned away because of how they look? With staff afraid to speak up about discriminatory practices? The silence in the room was heavy. Finally, a young man in a bellhop uniform raised his hand hesitantly. Michael, Maya acknowledged, having made it a point to learn as many staff names as possible over the years. Ms. Johnson. It wasn't always like this, Michael said, his voice gaining confidence as he spoke. Things changed when Mr. Walsh came. He said we needed to focus on premium guests who would spend more money. When people questioned him, he threatened their jobs. Others began to speak up then. The dam of silence broken, he told us we shouldn't waste time on certain types of guests. He changed the room assignments I made based on guests' appearances. He said you approved his new policies. Maya listened intently, her face growing more troubled with each revelation. She raised a hand and the voices quieted. I appreciate your honesty, she said, but I have 2 questions for everyone in this room. First, why didn't anyone report this to upper management, to Daniel or directly to me? People exchanged uncomfortable glances. Finally, Zoe from the front desk spoke up. He told us he had connections with the executive team, she explained, that complaints would come back to him, and he'd know who made them. Some of us can't afford to lose our jobs, Ms. Johnson. Maya nodded thoughtfully. I understand that fear, but that brings me to my second question, and it's the more important one. How many of you went along with these practices? Not because you were afraid for your job, but because somewhere inside you thought maybe he was right? The silence that followed was deafening. Some people shifted uncomfortably, unable to meet her gaze. I'm not asking to shame anyone, Maya clarified, her tone softening. I'm asking because we need to be honest with ourselves. Discrimination doesn't just happen because of bad leaders. It happens because good people stay silent or go along with it. An older gentleman in the maintenance uniform cleared his throat. Ms. Johnson, I've been in hospitality for 30 years. Before you hired me, I worked at places where what Mr. Walsh was doing was standard practice. They never said it out loud, but we all knew certain guests got better treatment. He looked around at his colleagues. I'm ashamed to admit it, but at first I didn't question it here because it seemed normal. Maya nodded, appreciating his candor. Thank you for your honesty, Frank. That's exactly what I'm talking about. Sometimes discrimination doesn't look like slurs or violence. Sometimes it's just the way things are done. And that's what we need to change. She moved back to the front of the room and pulled up a presentation on the large screen. It showed the core values of Pinnacle Hospitality Group. Every guest deserves exceptional service. Diversity is our strength. Speak up. Speak out. 4. Excellence is in the details. 5. We rise by lifting others. These aren't just words on our website, Maya said passionately. These are the principles this company was built on. The principles I need every single one of you to embody every day. She looked around the room. If you can't commit to these values, truly commit, then Pinnacle isn't the right place for you. She let that sink in before continuing. I'm going to be very clear. What happened under Gregory Walsh's management was a complete violation of everything we stand for. It stops today. Her voice was firm but not harsh. But fixing this requires more than just firing one bad manager. It requires all of us to recommit to who we are and what we stand for. Daniel stepped forward with a stack of papers, which he began distributing. This is our refreshed non-discrimination policy and reporting structure, Maya explained. I want everyone to read it carefully. Note especially the new anonymous reporting system that goes directly to both Daniel and me. No one should ever feel unsafe reporting concerns. She waited as people looked over the documents. Now comes the hard part, Maya continued. I'm giving everyone a choice. If you're fully committed to upholding these values, not just when it's easy, but especially when it's hard, I want you to stay. We'll provide additional training, support, and resources to help you succeed. Her expression grew more serious. But if you have any doubt about your ability or willingness to treat every guest with equal respect, regardless of their appearance, race, or perceived status, I'm offering you the chance to resign now. With 2 weeks severance pay, no questions asked, no negative references. A tense silence fell over the room. You have 9 minutes to decide, Maya said quietly. Those who choose to stay will be part of rebuilding the Meridian's culture. Those who choose to leave can do so with dignity. But after these 9 minutes, there will be zero tolerance for discriminatory behavior of any kind. She stepped back, allowing people space to think. Some immediately put the documents in their pockets, their decision to stay clearly already made. Others read the policies with furrowed brows. Small groups formed as people discussed in hushed tones. Maya watched it all, her heart heavy but determined. This was a defining moment for her company, painful but necessary growth. As the minutes ticked by, some staff members approached Maya or Daniel quietly, handing in their badges and ID cards. Each received a respectful nod and directions for processing their resignation and severance. Zoe approached Maya hesitantly. Ms. Johnson, I just wanted to say thank you. For listening to us, for caring enough to make changes. Maya smiled at the young woman. Thank you for speaking up today. That takes courage. I almost didn't, Zoe admitted. I was scared. But then I remembered why I wanted to work in hospitality in the first place, to make people feel welcome. All people. That's exactly why I started this company, Maya replied warmly. As the 9-minute mark approached, Maya could see that most of the staff had chosen to stay, though about 15 people were quietly gathering their things to leave. Just then, the conference room door opened, and Lisa and Anthony Thompson, the couple who had been denied their reservation earlier, entered with Raj from security. I'm sorry to interrupt, Raj said, but Mr. and Mrs. Thompson asked to speak with you, and I thought it might be important for everyone to hear. Maya nodded and invited the couple to the front. Anthony spoke first, his voice steady and clear. We wanted to thank Ms. Johnson personally for making things right. The presidential suite is amazing, and your staff has been incredible since everything was sorted out. Lisa continued. But we also wanted everyone here to know something. We chose the Meridian for our anniversary because 4 years ago, when we were just dating, we stayed here and had the most wonderful experience. The staff made us feel like royalty, regardless of our age or race. We told all our friends about it. She looked around the room. That's why today's initial experience was so shocking. It wasn't what we expected from the Meridian at all. What you're doing right now, Anthony gestured to the meeting. Showing that discrimination won't be tolerated. That matters. It really matters. The room was silent as the couple's words sank in. Maya thanked them sincerely, and as they left, she turned back to her staff. 9 minutes have passed, she announced. Those who are staying, thank you for your commitment. We have work to do, but I believe in each of you. She looked at those who had chosen to leave. I respect your honesty in recognizing this isn't the right fit. Please see HR for your severance details. As the room began to clear, Maya felt both drained and energized. The day had been challenging, but necessary. The Meridian would be better for it, more aligned with its original vision. Daniel approached with a TI. Plet showing staff numbers. We're down about 20 people total, including those who left earlier with Walsh. Maya nodded, already thinking ahead. Call our floating team to fill critical positions tonight. Tomorrow we'll start bringing in people from our other properties to help while we hire replacements. And what about you? Daniel asked. Are you staying to oversee the transition? Maya looked around at the hotel that had started it all, at the staff who had chosen to recommit to her vision. Absolutely, she said with determination. This is too important to delegate. I'm staying until the Meridian is back on track. She smiled slightly, though I might go home and change first. As they walked out of the conference room, Maya paused to look back at the now empty space where difficult truths had been spoken and important decisions made. In just 9 minutes, the culture of her flagship hotel had begun to transform. There would be challenges ahead, but for the first time that day, Maya felt hopeful about the future of the Meridian. The next morning, Maya arrived at the Meridian at 6 a.m. sharp. She'd exchanged her undercover casual wear for one of her signature power suits, a deep burgundy with a crisp white blouse. But she wasn't there to impress anyone. She was there to work. The early morning staff looked surprised to see the CEO striding through the lobby before sunrise, but Maya greeted each person by name. She had spent half the night reviewing personnel files, reacquainting herself with the people who made the Meridian run. "Good morning, Ms. Johnson," said Luis, the overnight front desk supervisor who was just ending his shift. "I didn't expect to see you so early." "We have a lot to do, Luis," Maya replied warmly. "And please call me Maya." She paused, noting the dark circles under his eyes. "Rough night?" Luis hesitated, then nodded. News about yesterday spread quickly. Guests have been asking questions and we're short-staffed with the departures. "That's why I'm here," Maya assured him. "Reinforcements are arriving this morning from our other properties, and I want to thank you for staying. Your leadership during the night shift is more valuable than ever right now." The genuine gratitude in Maya's voice seemed to straighten Luis's posture. "I believe in what you said yesterday, about what the Meridian stands for. My parents were immigrants who worked in hotels their whole lives. They taught me that how you treat people matters." Maya nodded, touched by his words. "They taught you well. Now go get some rest. We're going to need you at your best tonight." As Luis left, Daniel arrived with 2 managers from Pinnacle's San Francisco property and 3 from their Boston hotel. By 8 a.m., a total of 15 experienced staff members from other Pinnacle locations had arrived to help during the transition. Maya gathered them in the restaurant, which wasn't yet open to guests. "Thank you all for coming on such short notice," she began. "You're here because you're some of our best people, leaders who embody our values every day." She explained the situation frankly, not sugarcoating the problems they'd discovered or the challenge ahead. "Your job isn't just to fill positions," she concluded. "It's to help rebuild our culture, to remind everyone why Pinnacle exists and what we stand for. You'll be working alongside the Meridian staff, not above them. We're here to support, not take over." Maya paired each visitor with a Meridian employee, creating mentorship teams. Then she did something that surprised everyone. She assigned herself to work the front desk for the morning shift. "You're going to work the desk?" asked Zoe, who would be her partner. "But you're the CEO." "Exactly," Maya replied with a smile. "What better way to show that every job matters? Besides, I started as a front desk clerk in my first hotel job. It'll be like riding a bike." By 9 a.m., the Meridian was humming with activity. Maya worked alongside Zoe, checking in guests, answering phones, and resolving issues. Word spread quickly that the owner herself was behind the desk, and guests were both surprised and impressed. "Is it true you were thrown out of your own hotel yesterday?" one curious guest asked as Maya helped him with a room upgrade. "It is," Maya answered honestly. "And while it wasn't the morning I planned, it showed me some important things that needed changing. That's why I'm here today, making sure the Meridian lives up to its promise of exceptional service for every guest." Throughout the morning, Maya observed how guests responded to being treated with genuine warmth and respect. She watched their faces soften, saw them relax and smile more. It reinforced what she'd always known. People can tell when you truly value them, and they respond in kind. During a quiet moment, Zoe turned to Maya. "Can I ask you something?" "Of course," Maya replied, organizing welcome packets for an incoming group. "Yesterday you could have just fired Gregory and moved on. Why did you make everyone choose whether to stay or go? That was a big risk." Maya considered the question carefully. "Because firing one person doesn't change a culture," she finally said. "Gregory's behavior was extreme, but he created an environment where discrimination was accepted, even if quietly. To truly fix the problem, everyone needed to make a conscious choice about what they stand for." She paused, looking around the busy lobby. "The people who stayed are here because they actively chose our values, not because they're just following the next manager's rules. That commitment is what will prevent this from happening again." Zoe nodded slowly. I never thought about it that way. It's like you weren't just cleaning house. You were rebuilding the foundation. Exactly. Maya smiled, impressed by the young woman's insight. At noon, Daniel arrived at the front desk with lunch for them. How's it going? He asked, handing Maya a salad. Better than expected, she reported, stepping away from the desk to eat. The teams are working well together and guests seem happy. What about behind the scenes? Daniel's expression was positive but measured. Housekeeping is operating smoothly. The kitchen had some tension this morning. One of the line cooks was close to Gregory and is resentful about his firing, but Chef Paula handled it well. And our new hiring process? Maya asked, referring to the revised system they'd created late last night to prevent another Gregory situation. I've already conducted 4 interviews using the new format, Daniel said. It's much more thorough. The role-playing scenarios about handling difficult situations are particularly revealing. As they spoke, Maya noticed Anthony and Lisa Thompson crossing the lobby, dressed for a day of sightseeing. She excused herself and went to greet them. How was your first night in the presidential suite? She asked warmly. Absolutely incredible, Lisa beamed. The sunset view from the terrace was just magical. And everyone has been so kind. I'm glad to hear it, Maya said sincerely. Your experience yesterday morning should never have happened, and I'm deeply sorry that it did. Anthony shook his head. The way you handled it, that's what matters. You didn't just apologize. You took action. He looked around the busy lobby. We can feel the difference today. The whole hotel has a different energy. Before returning to the front desk, Maya gave them her personal card. If you need anything at all during your stay, please call me directly. And I'd love to host you for dinner one evening, if you're interested. By mid-afternoon, Maya had moved from the front desk to housekeeping, where she helped make beds and restock rooms alongside Josephine and her team. You still remember how to make hospital corners, Josephine observed with approval as Maya perfectly tucked in the sheets of a king-sized bed. Some skills you never forget, Maya laughed, straightening up. My grandmother cleaned hotel rooms for 30 years. She taught me how to make a perfect bed when I was 8, said it would serve me well in life. She had no idea how right she was. As they moved to the next room, Maya asked, How are your people doing after yesterday? Josephine considered the question. Shaken, but mostly in a good way. Many of them had sensed something was off under Gregory but couldn't quite name it. Your meeting gave them words for what they were feeling. She looked directly at Maya. It also showed them that the woman at the top actually cares. That matters more than you know. By evening, Maya had worked with nearly every department in the hotel. She'd helped the kitchen prep for dinner service, assisted the concierge desk with guest inquiries, and even delivered room service orders. Her feet ached, but her spirit was energized. She gathered the combined staff, original Meridian employees, and the reinforcements from other properties, in the lobby after the dinner rush. The group was smaller than yesterday's all-staff meeting, as they needed to maintain essential services, but representatives from each department were present. I want to thank everyone for their extraordinary work today, Maya began, her voice tired but proud. What you've accomplished in just 24 hours is remarkable. You've not only kept the Meridian running smoothly during a major transition, you've actually improved the guest experience. She held up a tablet displaying the day's guest satisfaction scores, which were already showing improvement over the previous week's numbers. This is what happens when we live our values, she continued. When we treat every guest like they matter, because they do. When we support each other as a team. When we speak up when something's wrong. Heads nodded around the circle. Maya could see a new sense of pride in their expressions. Tomorrow we'll begin our enhanced training program, she explained. Each department will participate in workshops on unconscious bias, inclusive hospitality, and ethical leadership. These aren't just checkboxes, they're tools to help us be better. She looked around at the tired but determined faces. 9 minutes, she said softly. That's all it took yesterday to begin this transformation. 9 minutes to make a choice about who we want to be. Today you've shown what happens when we make the right choice. As the meeting dispersed, Daniel approached with the day's reports. It's been a good day, he said. Not perfect, but good, and we've already received 30 applications for the open positions. Maya nodded, feeling the weight of the day's efforts in her shoulders. Have you set up the mystery guest program? Yes, Daniel confirmed. Starting next week, we'll have undercover evaluators staying at all 10 properties on a rotating, unannounced schedule. They'll represent diverse backgrounds, appearances, and needs, and they'll report directly to us. Good, Maya said. No more relying solely on scheduled inspections or filtered feedback. I want to know exactly how we're doing all the time. As the lobby cleared, Maya found herself alone for the first time all day. She walked slowly through the beautiful space, noticing details she'd missed yesterday in her undercover rush. The fresh flowers had been replaced, the brass fixtures polished, the marble floors gleaming. She paused at the spot where she'd stood just 24 hours ago, watching a couple being turned away from her hotel because of how they looked. The memory still stung, but it had become a catalyst rather than just a wound. Her phone buzzed with a message from her assistant. CNN wants an interview about what happened at the Meridian. They're calling it a masterclass in crisis management and anti-discrimination leadership. Maya sighed. She hadn't done this for publicity, but if sharing the story would help other businesses examine their own practices, perhaps it was worth considering. She typed back, "Tell them I'll think about it, but only if Anthony and Lisa Thompson can be included. Their experience is what matters most." As she put her phone away, Zoe approached with a hesitant smile. "We just got the nicest review from a guest who checked out this evening. He specifically mentioned how different the Meridian feels from other luxury hotels he stayed in. Said it was the first time he felt truly welcome rather than just tolerated." Maya felt a wave of emotion. This was why she had built Pinnacle, why she had worked so hard for so long, not for profit margins or industry awards, but for moments like these. "That's the best news I've heard all day," she told Zoe honestly. "Thank you for sharing it." As Zoe returned to the front desk, Maya looked around once more at her flagship hotel. The Meridian wasn't perfect. There was still much work to be done, systems to strengthen, training to complete, but in just one day, just 9 minutes really, they had recommitted to its soul. "This is just the beginning," Maya whispered to herself, her determination renewed. Tomorrow would bring new challenges, but for now, she allowed herself to feel a quiet pride in what they had already accomplished. Sometimes, she reflected, it takes being thrown out of your own hotel to remember why you built it in the first place. 6 months had passed since the day Maya Johnson was escorted from her own hotel. 6 months of hard work, intentional change, and rebuilding. As Maya stood in the grand ballroom of the Meridian, watching staff prepare for that evening's event, she could hardly believe the transformation. The hotel was hosting its first annual Inclusive Excellence Awards, recognizing hospitality businesses that had demonstrated exceptional commitment to equitable service. The irony wasn't lost on Maya, that her own company's very public stumble had birthed a movement that was now changing the industry. "Everything looks perfect," Daniel said, joining her at the entrance. "The RSVPs exceeded capacity. We had to expand into the garden terrace." Maya nodded appreciatively. Who would have thought our most embarrassing moment would lead to this? After declining numerous interview requests in the days following the incident, Maya had finally agreed to one conversation with a respected business journalist. She had insisted that Lisa and Anthony Thompson participate, to center the guest experience rather than corporate damage control. The resulting article, 9 Minutes to Transform a Culture, How a Black CEO's Expulsion from Her Own Hotel Sparked Industry-Wide Change, had gone viral. Other hotel owners and executives began reaching out, asking about Pinnacle's new training programs and accountability systems. "Ms. Johnson?" Maya turned to see Zoe approaching. No longer the nervous front desk clerk, Zoe now served as the Meridian's guest experience manager, a new position Maya had created to ensure guest concerns reached leadership immediately. "The panel speakers have arrived," Zoe informed them. "They're in the VIP lounge, and the Thompsons just texted that they're 5 minutes away." "Thank you, Zoe," Maya replied warmly. "I'll be right there." After Zoe left, Maya turned to Daniel. "She's thriving in her new role." "Your mentorship made all the difference," Daniel observed. "She reminds me of you when we first started working together. Perceptive, principled, and not afraid to speak up." Maya smiled at the comparison. "Let's hope she has an easier path than I did." They made their way through the hotel, Maya noting with pride how smoothly everything operated. The Meridian had not just recovered from the Gregory Walsh incident. It had been reborn, stronger and more aligned with its founding vision than ever before. In the VIP lounge, hospitality leaders from around the country were mingling. Maya greeted them, then slipped away to personally welcome Anthony and Lisa Thompson as they arrived. "I still can't believe you named a program after us," Lisa said, embracing Maya warmly. The Thompson Initiative for Hospitality Equity was Pinnacle's new flagship training program, now licensed to 3 major international hotel chains. "It was only fitting," Maya replied sincerely. "Your experience was the wake-up call we needed." Anthony shook his head in amazement. "When we planned our anniversary trip, we never imagined it would lead to industry-wide change. Sometimes the most important journeys take unexpected turns," Maya said thoughtfully. As they walked toward the ballroom, they passed the newly installed Living Values wall, a beautiful interactive display showcasing real guest stories alongside Pinnacle's core principles. Visitors could touch a value to see examples of how it was put into practice daily. "That's new since our last visit," Lisa noted, admiring the installation. "One of many changes," Maya explained. "Some visible, some behind the scenes." Indeed, the past 6 months had seen sweeping changes at all 10 Pinnacle properties. Maya had personally led the overhaul, implementing the Mystery Guest Program, which now sent diverse undercover evaluators to each property monthly, a revised hiring process with scenario-based interviews and thorough reference verification, mandatory quarterly training on unconscious bias and inclusive hospitality, a new anonymous reporting system that had already identified and addressed several concerns before they became problems, an employee development program that had promoted 15 staff members from underrepresented groups into management positions. Perhaps most significantly, Maya had instituted what she called the 9-minute rule, requiring every executive, including herself, to work in frontline positions at different properties for 9 minutes each day when visiting. "No exceptions, no excuses. It keeps us connected to what really matters," she often explained. "When you make beds, serve food, or check in guests, you understand your company differently." The policy had been featured in Harvard Business Review and was now being adopted by companies in various industries. As they reached the ballroom, Maya paused to greet Josephine, who was directing a team of staff members making last-minute adjustments to the table settings. "Everything to your standards?" Maya asked with a smile. "Absolutely perfect," Josephine confirmed. "Though I still think we should have gone with the burgundy napkins." And Maya laughed. Josephine's exacting standards were legendary, and exactly what the Meridian needed. "I'll defer to your expertise next time," Maya promised, looking around the room. Maya spotted Luis, now the hotel's night manager, helping to arrange the award displays. Raj from security was coordinating with his team at each entrance, ensuring everything ran smoothly but unobtrusively. These were the people who had chosen to stay that day 6 months ago, who had committed to rebuilding the Meridian's culture. Their loyalty and dedication had made all the difference. An hour later, as the ballroom filled with guests, Maya took her place at the podium. The crowd quieted as she prepared to speak. "Thank you all for being here tonight," she began. "6 months ago, I was literally thrown out of this very hotel." A ripple of laughter moved through the audience. The story was well known now. "It was a humbling moment," Maya continued, her voice growing more serious. "As a black woman who had built a successful business in an industry not known for its diversity, I thought I had created spaces where everyone was truly valued. That day showed me how easily values can be compromised when we're not vigilant." She paused, looking around the room. "I could have quietly fired one manager and moved on. That would have been easier, but it wouldn't have addressed the deeper issues. Real change doesn't come from quick fixes or PR statements. It comes from having the courage to look honestly at our failures and the determination to rebuild better." Maya gestured to the diverse crowd before her. Hotel owners, executives, staff members, industry leaders. Tonight isn't about celebrating Pinnacle's recovery. It's about recognizing that our industry has work to do. The 10 businesses we're honoring tonight have shown exceptional commitment to creating truly inclusive spaces where every guest feels valued. They represent the future of hospitality, a future where excellence and equality go hand in hand. The award ceremony proceeded, with recipients sharing powerful stories of transformation within their own organizations. Many credited Maya's transparency about the Meridian incident as inspiration for their own changes. After the formal program ended, and guests mingled over dessert, Daniel approached Maya with a tablet. "Have you seen this?" he asked. showing her the Meridian's latest guest satisfaction scores. Maya studied the numbers, her eyes widening slightly. Highest in our history. Daniel nodded, unable to hide his pride. Not just ours. According to the industry benchmarking data, the Meridian now has the highest guest satisfaction rating of any luxury hotel in the country. Maya took a moment to absorb this information. Do the staff know? Not yet, Daniel replied. I thought you might want to share the news. Maya considered this, then shook her head. Not tonight. Tonight is about the journey, not the destination. She smiled, though I admit it's nice validation. As the evening wound down, Maya found herself standing with Lisa and Anthony Thompson near the ballroom's floor-to-ceiling windows, looking out at the city lights. I have a confession to make, Lisa said quietly. After what happened that morning, Anthony wanted to just find another hotel. I was the one who insisted we stay and see if you'd really fix things. Maya raised an eyebrow, surprised. What made you want to stay? Lisa exchanged a look with her husband before answering. When you approached us in the parking lot, you could have just apologized and offered us an upgrade. That would have satisfied most people. But you were genuinely distressed about what had happened, not just to us, but to your vision for the hotel. I wanted to see if your actions would match your words. And did they? Maya asked softly. Anthony nodded. Beyond anything we could have imagined. He gestured to the room full of industry leaders. You didn't just fix your hotel, Maya. You're changing an entire industry. Maya felt a wave of emotion. Thank you for giving us the chance to make it right. Later that night, after all the guests had departed and the cleanup was underway, Maya walked through the Meridian alone. She moved slowly, appreciating details that most guests would never notice. The fresh flowers arranged by the same florist for 10 years. The subtle scent that was unique to Pinnacle Properties. The carefully selected artwork from local artists. In the lobby, she paused at the exact spot where she had stood 6 months ago, watching in disbelief as Gregory Walsh called security to remove her. That humiliating moment had been a gift in disguise, a painful but necessary awakening. Maya's phone buzzed with a text from Daniel. Don't forget, 9 a.m. meeting tomorrow to review expansion plans for the Thompson Initiative. She smiled, typing back, I'll be there. But first, I'm working the breakfast shift in the restaurant. At 8 a.m., his reply came quickly. The 9-minute rule strikes again. See you at 9. Maya put her phone away and continued her walk through the quiet hotel. At the front desk, now staffed by a diverse team that reflected Pinnacle's values, she stopped to straighten a stack of welcome brochures. On the cover was the Meridian's new tagline, Where every guest belongs. Simple words, but they captured everything Maya had fought for throughout her career. The journey hadn't been easy, and there would be more challenges ahead. But tonight, in this moment, she allowed herself to feel the quiet satisfaction of mission renewed. 6 months ago, a black CEO had been expelled from her own hotel. 9 minutes later, she had begun to transform it. Today, that transformation was changing an industry, and tomorrow, Maya smiled at the thought. Tomorrow, she'd be making breakfast for guests, listening to their stories, ensuring that at the Meridian, every single person truly felt they belonged. Sometimes the most powerful leadership moments came not from the executive suite, but from the front lines. Maya wouldn't have it any other way.